What's up, everyone, and welcome to Clear Talk. This video, we're going to be talking about the rumors and, thought about the Democratic future in 2028 and the things are just being floated around. Although I think it's just way too freaking early to talk about, but hell, everybody else is talking about it, so why don't we? If you like what I'm doing here, please consider subscribing. Check out my other channels and subscribe to those bitches too. JMD Drummer, JMDPLAY. Check out the Discord there. One-time donation or JMD Nation up top at Patreon. $3 a month will get you, some stuff. I don't know. Not much. But it would help support me. Any support you give is very much appreciated. So thank you very, 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 very much. All right. So hope everybody had a good. I didn't do that in the first two videos. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Yeah. Hope you did. Hope you had enjoyed all your family and all that good stuff. Should have included that in the previous ones. Oh well. So yes, here we are. The 2028. So, like I said, I already think this is way too early to even really be talking about. But there are some interesting sort of things popping up. For starters, we have Kamala news, right? The Kamala stuff. I think we previously even talked about this. There was a poll, kind of early poll that was really, I don't think that significant, but where they kind of polled, support for 2028. And of course, Kamala had it won. This was immediately after the election. She had 40, I don't know, 42, 43%, something like that, something stupid. And then everybody else on the list was at less than 10 or 10 or less. Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, and Buttigieg, and that list. Waltz was on it. Shapiro. Anyways, they're all there. I think actually Bashir. I think Shapiro was a little bit lower, actually, surprisingly kind of lower than I think everybody expected. But anyways, and AOC was even on that list at 4%, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So yes, you had that early after stuff. Kamala's got this, surprise, so yeah, is it? She might be the 2028 nominee now. And there was a lot of people. There was some people that come out, immediately hating on that. What are you lost your mind? There's no way in hell she's going to be, no way that she's going to be the nominee, and you're just being stupid. I was kind of in the middle of that personally at that point. I'm thinking, you know what, she, for what it was worth, she did have a pretty decent campaign. There were mistakes made that I think caused enough damage to prevent her from winning. I think if they would have stayed on the original path where they started, there would have been a much better chance that she would have won, and I think she would have actually won like I expected her to win. But because of some of that late stupid shit that they did, I think it cost her. But overall, the limited time she had, I think it wasn't so bad. And at that point, I considered that, name recognition, for one, is always one of the most important things, period. It didn't even fucking matter how much you've talked about what you were going to do, whatnot. Name recognition is always top. Then what you're going to do. Because you could talk till you're blue in the face about what you're going to do for the country, but if people don't know who the fuck you are, it doesn't matter. But like I said, name recognition, everybody knows who she is now. So she would have, on a full timed campaign, yeah, she'd have a pretty decent chance, I think, to make her case, gain support, all that, all that jizz. But now we have reporting going out. I don't know if some of you noticed. I think I actually did notice, and I thought it was a little weird, and I actually stopped them from coming to my phone. But there are still text messages being sent out by the DNC and the campaign asking for money. And this is something that's continued to go on even now. The election's over. So what's going on here? Well, as we all know, this was something that that started pretty heavily when she took over. I mean, they went crazy with the text messages trying to fundraise and everything. And at first, most of it was small dollars from the regular people kind of thing. And they made a lot. They profited. They got a lot of money for the campaign just off of small dollar stuff. But then once they started getting the big boys in and getting support from them, once she really, it's like hardcore became the nominee, it just really blew through the roof, right? I mean, it was 1.3 or 4 or something billion dollars that they accumulated for the campaign to spend, and which is a ridiculous amount of money, by the way. I mean, like, I don't know, may have even arguably been the most ever. Obviously, though, they completely blew through that. And the reason why they're continuing to send out text messages is they owe money. They're like around 20 million in debt. The campaign. Like, and so they're blowing up people to try to, and they're making it as if they're doing the text messages and everything as if they are like for trying to fight some legal issues and voter checks and stuff like vote recounts and things like that in certain real close areas and blah 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 blah. But in reality, that's what it's for, is to outpay for their debts. I mean, this is like Trump shit we're talking about here. The kind of shit that he pulled off before multiple times. I guess I've taken one out of his game book and thought, you know what, if he can get away with it, we can too. Because it looks like it's actually what it's going for is to pay debts. Debts that I don't understand how in the hell they even have. I mean, it was already reported that they had given more money to people than they originally said they were going to give, as far as like some of those supporters, like the Oprahs and all kind of shit like that they gave them way more money than what they initially said that they were going to give them. So it's like they just were handing out money to friends that they originally like twice the amount and shit. And which, just a little side note, what the fuck does Oprah need money for? Oprah should have did that shit for free. I mean, I'm just saying, like, she didn't need money. She could have done that shit for free. But anyways, whatever. But this is what's going on now. So you're now souring people with constantly begging for money way after the fact, and it's coming out that's what it's for. So now you have Democratic people in the DNC and whatever government or different politicians like y'all need to stop this, because this is making us look bad, like worse than we already look. So it's like you are not helping your case whatsoever for making another run, the next go around. For starters, because not only is it annoying that these are continuing to go out. I mean, they were annoying when they were going out before the election, and now that they're continuing to go out afterwards, it's even more annoying. Secondly, finding out that you apparently couldn't manage your money well enough for the campaign, so that you are now in debt. Which is, if that's not bad enough, that also kind of goes against your whole argument to begin with, that you could have handled the economy and you could have made the economy better. When you couldn't even handle your campaign money, apparently. So now there's a lot of things lining up that doesn't look too damn good for you in the future. Now, I'm not saying this is all Harris's fault, but it kind of is. And so while I originally would have argued that she does have a chance, or did have a chance in 28, with this kind of shit coming out. I mean, granted, we're 4 years out and people can forget about it, but I'm just saying, it doesn't look good, and it's not helping your argument, or your the discussion for you actually being the nominee in 2028. Like I said, that's way far out, but still, it's and for all of you little Trump supporters out there who want to quickly be like, ha ha, told you she wasn't going to take care of the economy. Trump got that shit, boy. No, Trump don't have that shit. Trump is about to fuck it up even more. So, and you've already seen a lot of people come out now scared, Republicans, of prices going up because of his tariff war that he's seemingly trying to play on everybody. So, yeah. Chill and hold your horses, and I'm gonna sit and wait, and I'll be here when that shit hits the fan for you to continue your laughing. So yes, that's the Kamala thing. It's not looking good now. This is not going to help her resume going forward, to say the least. So now, like I said a minute ago, the AOC thing I wanted to talk about. So now there's also like this movement of sorts, albeit in the beginnings, and probably, arguably, I don't even know is really that relevant, but, or, like that serious. But, and this sort of kind of got thrown out there by actually a Republican. And you could argue whether or not they were just trying to kind of feed some flames or something, or if they actually legitimately think this is going to happen. But they threw out the idea of AOC going for president, goodness gracious, in 2028. So now that's kind of being floated out there as, oh yeah, everybody is getting excited, and yes, she could go, she would be great, and all this kind of stuff. But as far as I know, AOC herself has not made any kind of comments on this, and quite honestly, I don't expect her to. At least not anytime soon. Well, she might come out and be like, no, that's not happening, or whatever. And at this point, that could be legitimately true. She might not even be considering it. And it could be potentially later on that she could. But just in the sentiment of that idea, what do I think about it? I'm kind of in the agreement with the Cal Kalinske point that he's been making here lately of it needing to be someone that's kind of on the level of a Trump. Celebrity-like, kind of against the grain, against the powers, fighting for the people, or at least claiming to. We all know that Trump's not really, but that's his claim. But that type of energy, that type of charisma, that type of the type of person that feels genuine, that even if you don't completely agree with them, you know that what they're saying they truly believe in. Kind of the Bernie-esque style type. And while someone like Kyle brings up Jon Stewart, and while I think that's a cool, like, wish cast thought, I don't ever see Jon Stewart actually even considering it, and I don't really think it would come off that genuine if he did. I think it would come off kind of like Trump did initially, like a joke. So I'm not sure how well it would actually work anyways. So I'm kind of iffy on something like that. But AOC, and we've seen this with interviews that have happened with people who voted for AOC and Trump in New York. That there's been a lot of that talked about and gone over, and she made a point of trying to understand those people and why they chose that type, on the ballot. Even though AOC is a politician, at this point, clearly, duh, she doesn't really come off that way. And at this point, she kind of is a celebrity in her own way. She has that celebrity type status. She's so well known, whether it's because of people liking her or hating her. She's so well known. Okay, she is like a Trumpian figure on the left. The difference is her being someone who came from more humble beginnings to get where she is now. So very much different. Policy-wise, me and her on board. I've been following her since her inception, coming into the house and everything. And I've always genuinely liked her. I think she's a good person. I think she has good policy views, and I pretty much align with her on most policies. No problem. My only contention with her has been on certain strategies that she's had. I haven't always agreed with her strategies. There's been a couple of strategies I've completely disagreed with, and was a little disappointed in, to be honest. But with the right strategies, with the right mentality, and her being strong and committed to her progressive views, I would have no problem backing her whatsoever. Now, the one thing that's been brought up that I've heard is that she's young. And she's a female. The argument now is like that Democrats are they're just going to completely stay away from females because, you had Hillary, failure. You had Kamala, failure. So the sentiment now is that they're not going to go for a woman. And while there probably will be that type of sentiment with some of the Democratic elite party, okay, I still think that there is this sort of core idea, though, that if it is, it is. I don't think that there will be, yes, there will be some percentage of the party that will probably try to fight against it, but I think at the core of it, most, I think, still won't care whether it's a female or not. It just has to be the right one. And while you could argue Kamala could have been the right one, the problem was is she not only was she didn't have the right. She could have been the right one, but she didn't have the right strategies. In the end, she didn't have the right strategies. And that failed her. Hillary never would have been the right one. Sorry. So we did improve, in my opinion. And an AOC would be an even bigger improvement, in my opinion. Just solely on the argument of a female. So I think that there is a sentiment there that would not really hold her back on that. Now, yes, there is a grand part of the nation that probably does have some sort of a reserve against a female in power. I certainly think that is very much true. But on that side of the aisle, and it's mostly that side of the aisle, there's a lot of people on that side that actually do like AOC. So, maybe not completely on policy, but they like her as a person, I think. They like her drive. So I think there's a very good argument for her to consider it. It certainly wouldn't hurt her. And as far as policies that I'm concerned with, she arguably would be a better choice. Now there are others that could potentially also, take that and go as well, that have the same policies and whatnot. But as far as you having this celebrity status, that kind of everybody knows you kind of thing, she most certainly holds that reign on that side. As far as a leftist progressive is concerned, she holds that mantle. She's like the pinnacle of that. The only one close to her really would be maybe Omar. But AOC is more likable. Where I don't have a problem with Omar, AOC is more likable on the grand stage. Like I said, as long as she stayed true to her progressive ideals and she put together a campaign like Bernie and go full on, even go maybe further than Bernie, I think it would be good. I think it's a good possibility. But like I said, we're 4 years out. There's no telling what will happen. She would have to commit to it, though. And I'm not sure she's ready to commit to that. A lot of people, people were saying that they would rather see her maybe go for either a governor position or a Senate position first. And while that would look better on resume, I guess, for a future, run way on in the future, I don't, and it probably would be necessary in the normal sense of the system. But now, right now, where we stand now, there was apparently one in history that went from the representative house from the House to the presidency. I think it was Garfield or something like that. It was kind of a weird situation, I think, there, that he wound up going from the House or as a representative or something to president. It's only the one in history that's done it. But I think we're at a point right now where we stand that it is very much possible. and I don't even think her age would be that big of a deal. I think that was the problem with Bernie a lot. I oftentimes heard the argument that I like his policies, I like him, I like his commitment, I like how he talks, but he is old. Like that was the biggest argument against him. He's so old. Um, and you don't have that with her. Now, yeah, you might have some people be like, "Woo, she's really young," but I don't think that has the same type of sentiment as being old. Like young, the only argument you have there is that might inexperience maybe, or that the wisdom, lack of wisdom or something. Um, and yeah, you could argue that, and you would be right. I would say. Uh, but I think at this point, people more in line with just putting someone there that is not system like, that doesn't come off as being a career politician, that doesn't come off as being there for years. And what are you going to do now? You're going to keep doing what you've been doing? Like, you're going to suddenly change or blah, blah, blah. Like, I feel like that's the reason. I think that's the reason why Trump is so big, because people, even though he has proven to be complete swamp, he has proven to be complete elite, his followers still think he is an outsider. They are so blind to it, they still think he's an outsider. And that's partly why they vote for him and are so strong on him, because they literally still consider him somebody that's outside, trying to buck the establishment. And what they think of the establishment is just typical Washington. The people who have been there for decades. That's who they don't like. That's the elite they don't like. Most of the Trump supporters don't really have that much of a problem with the wealthy and rich. That's not their problem. They actually think they're doing them, like they're helping them out, even though they're not. Their problem is just the swamp, what they consider the swamp, what they consider the problem with Washington is that those that have been here for years and they're not doing anything. And that's the reason why they look at Trump as bucking that system. And while you can argue to some degree he is, but just in a way of bringing in elites, as in like the rich and powerful who are actually behind those swamp people in Washington. And the reason why those swamp people in Washington haven't really been doing anything to help regular people, that's why they support him. Even though he is clearly completely ingrained with that swamp at this point. Always really was. So he actually just reinvented the swamp. He took it over. He is the new swamp, as far as Republicans are concerned. But I think AOC could be that type of figure. Someone who would be coming in looking like, yeah, she's a politician, but she doesn't really come off as a careerist. She doesn't come off as somebody who, has been there and doing nothing. She has been fighting for stuff, and she's been successful at times. And she's just a genuinely likable person. So I truly actually think that there could be a good chance for it. I said that she's going to get hate from both sides, right and left. But I'm not completely counting her out. I'm not 100% sold on it by no means, but I'm also not going to sit here and act like, oh, she don't have a chance. That'd be a complete waste. She's not ready for it. No, I personally think there's a good chance for it, good possibility for it. So yeah, what do you think though? I would be interested in knowing what you might would think about that. Like I said, this is still, 4 years out. Well, at least two before any kind of campaigning would probably start. Um, but what do you think? Um, Let me know what you think. I would genuinely like to know. So thank you very much for joining me here. That was longer than I really planned on going, but anyways, thank you very much, and yeah, thank you. Peace. Clear Talk.